Good evening, good evening, good evening. You are watching the Real Money Coach show here. I had to think about, man, is it Saturday morning? Is it Tuesday? I don't know, but I know I'm coming on the air. Listen, I'm so glad that you are with us. You know what we do every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. You put in the chat box where you are watching from, what part of the country you're watching from, what city, what state, and come on in, right? Come on in. We got Harvey Jones from Birmingham, Alabama is in the house. Harvey was the first to put in. Listen, usually what happens is the ladies be the first to put in the chat box. I mean, I got the regulars that's going to come in a minute. I'll announce them when they're in it. But Harvey said, not tonight. The fella's going to represent tonight first. Harvey Jones, I'm glad that you are here and watching us tonight. Love all the great comments that you usually put it into the chat. Keep it coming. Who else is watching us? I see y'all online, but I haven't seen you put your name in the chat yet. Let me know where you're watching from. Where's the good old faithful? There we go. Alice Martin. Alice Martin is here. Good to talk to you yesterday, I think, by email. So Alice Martin is here. Thank you for tuning in. And anyone else and everyone else who is watching, please put it into the chat box so that we know where you're watching from. Don't be shy. It is a great day to be alive. I'm excited about the show. Now, y'all know I'll be excited every week about the show. And, and part of the reason I'm so excited is that we just have these phenomenal guests that come on. And, we don't rehearse. I usually don't give them any pre-questions, y'all. This is really like live, right? It's like live TV. We don't edit it out. You're watching it. What you see is what you get. And we just have some phenomenal conversations about all sorts of things, mostly surrounding money, business. Well, let me remind you of that. Let me remind you of Real Money Coach. Real is for relevant. E is for educational. A is for actionable, and then the L is for life-changing. So real is an acronym, the Real Money Coach. And so we just have some great real conversations. You think about the last couple of weeks, we have dealt with, mental health issues. We've dealt with some credit. We've dealt with a number of things. We've been talking about some of these things that we've seen, like the Bank of America Zero Down program. We've been talking a lot about student loan forgiveness. So we've had an array of different topics that we've talked about in my commentary and Michelle's commentary, but also our guests come on and just share some really good information. We had Darren Henson that was on and shared, some nuggets from him last week. And so we just have some phenomenal people, and every week it doesn't, God just provides. I mean, he provides one. And I know for a fact that tonight's show won't be any different. We're going to have a phenomenal guest by the name of Tiffany Ford, and she's going to share some great information with us. And, the one thing that we want you to do when you watch the Real Money Coach show is we want you to be informed, and we want you to be inspired, encouraged to, keep doing what you're doing, finish out the week and all that good stuff. So we love it. We love it. We love it. We thank you for being here. And let me do this. Let me go ahead and bring my co-host out. Y'all, she don't need no introduction. Y'all know who she is. She's here every week. Man, I think it's a year and a half now, about something like that. And she just keeps bringing it, right? Oh, listen, Tony the second. Y'all, Tony's coming in tonight. Tony's watching tonight. Y'all know he hosted with me when Michelle went on vacation for a month. So my son hosted with me. So TJ's in the house in Maryland. We're going to give a shout out to HU, right? Howard, right? He's a grad student at Howard. And so, and let me do this. I got to do this. And before long, I'm going to get a picture. But today is my daughter's birthday. Adrian's birthday is today. She's 27 years old. I can't believe she's 27. I can't believe my baby girl is 27 years old, but she's 27 years old. She's in the house here. We having some little birthday shenanigans going on. And so Um, give a shout out to her on the air tonight. And she's over here with the boys, with my grandsons, right? So love the grandsons, love my granddaughters. Granddaughter will be here next week, Miss Riley. Tony's daughter will be here, so we're gonna have a great time. So without any further ado, let me bring on my children's godmother on. That's what I call her tonight. That's her title tonight. Her title tonight is
Yes.
How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing well, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good,
I
good,
got
good.
got me a little caffeine, and so I'm good.
I probably should have done that tonight.
Yeah, your friend, your best friend, my wife for 30 years, she's so sweet. Every Tuesday night, we're in here, we're having a conversation, and all of a sudden there'll be a little cup of coffee slip on my desk. And so she takes care of your boy,
I
she
know
does
she
that.
does.
She takes care of me. She
She
takes
does
care
a
of me.
phenomenal job.
She does a phenomenal job.
She does.
Phenomenal job. I try to make it a little easier on her though, but she does a phenomenal job.
Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of that, how's Tony doing? How's my boy doing?
He doing good. He doing good. He just keeps injuring himself.
Oh no.
Right.
We can't do that.
No.
We can't do that at our age. We can't be
I
injuring
know.
ourselves. We don't bounce back like our kids bounce back, right?
So no more yard work at all for him. Like,
yeah. I kind of had to stop doing yard work too.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see, how old was Adrian? 27. So yeah, I stopped about 26 years ago.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. I'm like,
yeah. Lisa's like, listen, I need some help with this baby in the house. You get me doing the yard, right? So,
right.
But I was actually thinking about Tony as we just chatting because the President's Cup is here in Charlotte next weekend.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so the golf major President's Club is going to be here in Charlotte last weekend. Huh?
You should have told him.
Yeah, it would have been great to get some tickets and yeah, it would have been. And then not last weekend, but the weekend before that, we had the Black Golf Expo second annual event was here in Charlotte. And they also had a HBCU golf tournament. I think it was North Carolina A&T, Howard. I can't remember what the other two schools were, but they had a golf tournament here for HBCU golf team. It was the first annual HBCU golf tournament as part of the Black Golf Expo. So next year is going to be in Louisville, Kentucky. Is my understanding that they'll have the Black Golf Expo. Now, some of the people that I know that went said it was phenomenal. Really? In terms of people were getting jobs, people were getting internships,
networking.
And so it was a lot of networking. A lot of people ended up with some contracts, to be service providers for the PGA because the PGA president was here and all these type of things. So it turned out to be a really nice event. And I don't know if I announced on here, but I would consider him a mentor. Michael V. Roberts. Yes. Mention that? Okay, I didn't.
No, you didn't mention it, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So Michael V. Roberts has been given a presidential service award from President Biden. Yeah. So that's coming up in DC and a whole lot of stuff going on. A whole lot of good stuff going on.
Nice.
So, and Michelle, you got some things coming up that's going to be pretty awesome as well. So you want to tell us a little bit about?
I do have some things coming up. I am hosting an event, a 2-day event actually, and my brother here is going to be part of it. He's going to teach some content for me. Do I have the name of the event yet? No. But September 29th and 30th.
September 29th, 30th. Yes. It's on my calendar. I'm looking forward to it.
We are going to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, and I've sat in on some of your workshops and they're always phenomenal. And so hopefully I can add a little value to that. Yeah. And then on my end, a couple of things going on is, like I mentioned, we're going to do the masterclass, the iPad Your Money Masterclass, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money Masterclass. I decided to move it to October. So it'd be 7 weeks starting October 3rd.
Mhm.
We do have the promotional piece ready. I just had to send it back to get a date changed on it. But so we're looking forward to that. So anyone who
That's
has
awesome.
the book is welcome to join that masterclass where we will be talking about the strategies that you need to implement to increase, protect, dominate your money, create generational wealth,
Yes.
which is probably the only thing I really thought about really chatting a little bit about today. Because
Mhm.
literally, I had an appointment right before this with a wonderful couple, young couple.
Mhm.
Um, so just marvelous couple. But then before that, I was listening to the news, Lester Holt, right?
Mhm.
And they were just talking about how the stock market, all three of the major
Yeah.
indices, were down near 4% today.
4% today. Mhm.
And so, people, we have strategies to protect you from those type of losses. And the wonderful thing about it is our strategies that protect you from those losses don't lock in the losses. So when the market goes up, you make money, but when the
Mhm.
market goes down, you don't lose any. So if
Right.
you're watching and you have money sitting in an old 401k or a savings account that's not earning you anything, you need to schedule an appointment just to get this information and find out how you can take advantage of the market when it goes up and protect yourself when it goes down. I mean,
Right.
I think that's pretty ingenious, right?
It is.
And as always, I tell people this all the time: never put all your eggs in one basket, even if
Mhm.
it's my basket, right?
Mhm.
So even you got to diversify. But
Yeah.
if you have this smart money sitting aside that you know is protected from any losses, it allows you to be a little bit more speculative with your other money
That's
because
true.
you know that you got this money that you're going to live off of, that you're depending on for retirement, that it's protected. And
Right.
so that's one thing. And the other thing is September is Life Insurance Awareness Month.
Right.
So, we need to make sure that we're protected, that we have not just life insurance, that's important, but having
Mhm.
the right insurance, having the right
Right.
amount, and all those
Yes.
types of things. So,
Yeah, Tony, I am teaching from your book to my nieces and nephews our family financial literacy class. And we talked about in protections on Sunday.
oh,
Uh,
good.
yes, we talked about protection. So we are looking forward to having you come on and talk to the children, because
You call them children,
I
right?
call them children because they are children. They
Yeah.
just getting their feet wet in life. So this past week we talked about debt, and then we talked about protecting the assets you do have. So yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And what is the number one asset that we have? I think people don't realize this. The number one asset we have is our ability to go out and make money.
Yes. Hmm.
And if you take that away from us,
Hmm.
I mean, that's a major asset.
It's a
You know,
major asset.
it's a major asset. Now we want to develop passive income so it's not
Hmm.
dependent on our activity and all those
Right.
type of things. But creating, you know,
Creating
someone said,
income.
yeah, creating income.
Hmm.
Someone said time, and I
Time.
do
Yeah.
think time is huge because the one thing we can't get back is time.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important
Yeah.
that you're doing what you're doing in terms of teaching your family and that's
Hmm.
why we wrote the book and that type of
Yeah.
thing. Is time is
Yeah.
important. It's precious.
I mean, and just like our guest last week, he said now time, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
said
Now
now,
time.
now time, so um yeah, so you can't get this time back. So I'm just excited to share with them and their enthusiasm about learning, and they're like, wow, I never knew this. Auntie, you know all this information.
Like, yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
yeah.
and the thing about it is, and it would be interesting to ask our guests this too. If you were to go back to your 20-year-old self,
Right.
what would you tell your 20-year-old self? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What would you
Yeah.
tell your 20-year-old self? I
Yeah.
got some things I would tell myself, right?
I got some things I would tell myself too.
I got some things I would tell myself. And so it's a privilege and an honor to be able to share that information with
Mhm.
others And that's what the show is all about, right?
Yeah, it
We
is.
bring in
Mhm.
different voices, and each of the voices has something significant to say. And I get all these wonderful, text messages, emails about we enjoyed the guests. I'm gonna go back and re-listen to the
Mhm.
show and all these types of things, because these guests are just phenomenal people.
They are phenomenal people. And one of the things I do want to say about time and you being able to generate income for yourself is we also have to think about the mental health. Like we had our guests on about mental health, and then we need to have somebody on for physical wellness. Like
Yes,
because if you are not physically well, then you won't be able to generate income for yourself and you'll have to be dependent on someone else. So
that's
I think
very
that's
good.
important too.
We're going to get someone to come in and talk about the physical wellness, because like you
Hmm.
said, we did deal with the mental
Hmm.
health. I think that's important. I think that you're right, our physical
Hmm.
health. And so often, when we're grinding,
Yep.
we don't get enough rest, we don't
Hmm.
eat right, some
Hmm.
of these type of things that a lot of business owners suffer from
Yes.
medical issues because of the stress and all that.
Hmm.
And people sometimes has a misconception about what it is about being a business owner. I mean,
They do.
they think it's all a cakewalk, right?
It's not
But
all a
I don't want
cakewalk.
to get too far into that, because I want to get some of the insights from our guest tonight as we have that conversation. But there's a grind that happens, and we got
It
to kind of
is,
take care of ourselves.
but there's also a balance that can happen, and you have to find your balance.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a while ago, but Isaac Norris was on our
Hmm.
show,
Yeah.
and Isaac is a very good friend,
Hmm.
um, and he's another godparent for our kids and stuff.
Hmm.
And if y'all want some nice jazz, Isaac Norris on
Yes.
all platforms. But he talked about um, work-life balance. That was
Hmm.
kind of what he wanted to talk about, is creating work-life balance.
Hmm.
And that was really good. And it's not something that you hear men talk about,
That
right?
is true.
You
That's
don't
true.
hear men talk about that, because we I'm tough,
Yeah.
I
I'm tough. I can
handle
do
it.
it. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
put it, I put this family on my back. At least we
Mhm.
normally, I mean, we need more men to do that, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
but that's a whole nother story. But sometimes we don't show vulnerability, we don't show
Mhm.
that. And I said one of the wonderful things for me is that I coached, I went to all the games,
Mhm.
because I was an entrepreneur. I could do that.
You could do
I
that.
didn't I
Yes.
didn't have to ask for time off, and
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. And speaking of Adrian and her birthday, that one year they asked me to coach the girls basketball team. Lord, I, I retired after that. I'm like,
You're
I'm
retired.
done. I'm done. These girls are too aggressive, man. You think boys are aggressive? These girls playing basketball were aggressive, but
Right.
those are just wonderful times. So I thank God for it. But listen, Michelle, we could talk all night.
Yes.
Um, we got to bring Tiffany Ford on here. Let me tell you about Tiffany.
I'm
She's
excited to hear about Tiffany.
yeah, she's known as the small biz guru, right? Um, and she has 6 schools in Philadelphia.
Wow.
6 schools. She owns, or part owns, 6 schools. She owns some event space, and she has done, and we'll let her tell her story. She's done some remarkable things in the area of childcare.
Mm.
And what I like about her, and what I'm looking to really unpack tonight, is the fact that she took all the success that she had and said, you know what, I'm going to help other people. And so she's
Awesome.
kind of pivoting to helping other small businesses start up and scale up. And we
Nice.
know how important that is. And so we're going to bring Tiffany on to the stage with us. Miss Tiffany Ford, how are you doing this evening? Welcome to the Real Money Coach Show.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, thank you
Welcome.
for having me. I am
Oh,
so excited to be
look
here.
at that.
I'm
We
really
got
excited.
applause going on for you and everything, Tiffany. Just, thank you for being here. I mean, we had a great conversation, for the Saturday broadcast, and I'm just excited about some of the things that you can share and encourage our listeners and our viewers tonight. So I'm going to go back and re-ask one of those questions I asked Saturday for those who miss it. Who is Tiffany Ford? Tell us who Tiffany Ford is.
Okay, I would love to answer that. Hey, hello everybody. My name is Tiffany Ford, and I'm going to keep it very simple. I am a serial entrepreneur who believes that you should turn whatever passion that you have into a paycheck. Um,
Girl.
that's just it. That's exactly who I am, and that's what I do. That's what I've been doing. I am deeply rooted in my community. Philly, Southwest Philly is where I am from. I work in Southwest Philly. I travel there every single day. I am a childcare facility operator, as you stated. I have 6 locations. I don't have 6 schools. It's just 6 locations, 2 different schools. Um, and I also have a performing arts academy, and that just evolved strictly off of my passion, which is dance, and my other passion, which is education. And then I took my other passion, which is event planning, and I created an event space. And that is actually opening this week, actually next week, the 25th of September. And I also am a real estate investor as well. So I have quite a few things going on, and I am the definition of an entrepreneur. So when you see entrepreneur, you see me. That is me. I am an entrepreneur.
Well, let me tell you something. I said this earlier when in the green room that this show, Dante could just take me off the screen, and you and Michelle could just kind of like take over the show. And what you don't realize is what you just said. You said that you take your passion and turn it into paycheck. Michelle's tagline is take your passion and turn it into a profit.
See,
and
there
so
we go.
you guys are already like, got this synergy thing going that's pretty awesome. So
for sure. It really has been like an amazing journey. Seriously, it really has. I started entrepreneurship at the age of 23. I was fresh out of college, had no idea what I was getting into. I had, unfortunately, I got pregnant a little young. I was 23 when I got pregnant. That's, of course, I graduated school, but I really wasn't ready for life yet, per se. So when I had my daughter, I wasn't necessarily ready to put her in childcare, but I had a background in education. I had a passion for children. I had worked in childcare settings already from high school until college. So I was very familiar with the industry. And I decided that safety was my number one issue, and trust. I had some really serious trust issues back then. And I said, you know what? I can't put my child in daycare. I got to start my own. And that's exactly what I did. I started literally right out of my home. I started out of my home providing evening care to families who were in need. I still worked during the day. That's one thing I learned as an entrepreneur. Never quit your job until you're ready. So I still maintained my job. And I worked in the evenings, operate my own childcare facility out of my home. And it just went bananas. And the one thing it was is I catered to the need. The need was evening childcare. And I really got my feet wet with that.
Well,
That's awesome, Tiffany. Because I tried that and I had to let that go.
It's not for the faint at heart at all. It's a very difficult.
Maybe with your passion, Michelle.
That wasn't my passion. I could take care of my children, but not everybody else.
I've always had a passion for children, though. I absolutely do. I love it. Listen, I absolutely love kids. Like it's like second nature to me. So it never really felt like work. Seriously, it really did.
Well, that's good. And like you said, you found this need, and that's what that's what an entrepreneur does, right? You find a need and you satisfy that need. It's in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
And I think it's pretty amazing that you've gone from in your home to now 6 locations, as well as the dance school, as well as the event space that's opening, as well as being a real estate investor. But one of the things that you said that I think was really just profound, and I don't want it to slip over people's head that may be watching this or maybe watching the replay later, is like you tell entrepreneurs, don't quit your job too soon.
Yeah.
And I always think that's so important, is that, and sometimes these rags to riches stories can sometimes create unrealistic expectations, right? I mean, I can remember I was reading a book of a celebrity, a well-known celebrity, and he just talked about you can't dabble your toe in, you got to jump with both feet. Well, that's true, but I always tell people, when you think that you're ready to quit your job, then you need to hang on for another 6 months, right? To make sure, especially if you haven't been through a full cycle of whatever your business is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I try to encourage people that I talk to every day. They're like, oh, I don't have enough time to manage this and I manage that. And this goes back to that work-life balance that I heard you guys talking about. I think it's really, really important that before you decide to become an entrepreneur, you have to really know yourself. You have to know what you're capable of. You have to know what your strengths are. You have to know what your weaknesses are. And you really have to have some grit in you. If you don't have that grit and that I can do whatever, no matter what time or place, entrepreneurship is probably not for you. And I see a lot of people jumping in without that awareness of their self.
That tenacity.
Yeah, for sure. It is definitely a very, very personal process, entrepreneurship. It really is. And it's like I said, it's just not for the faint of heart. It's not. And
you gotta have some passion.
You have to.
And that passion is energy. It fuels you.
It is
to keep going when things get hard. So
it is.
And I think there's a couple things about entrepreneurship that people have to realize. Is number one is finance, right? Because it can be a up and down, right? It's not always when you get a paycheck, you can pretty much count on that paycheck being what it's going to be. You don't have that necessarily, depending on what your job is. You may not necessarily have that. And especially early on, you're investing so much back into your business. So the finances can be up and down. And then the emotions can be up and down. And then the impact on your family. So there's a lot of different dynamics. So how do you coach people you mentor through some of those things?
That's a really good question. Honesty is always the best policy, and being able to be honest with yourself and know that for me personally, I have been doing this for 13 years now, full time, 13 years, self-employed. And there are so many points where I just have to be honest with myself and say, this is too much. I need help. I need to rely on my family, or I need to rely on my team. And that is the piece that I think really helps when you're an entrepreneur. If you can honestly be able to ask for help when it's needed, then that's how you find that balance. I'm really big on creating teams and working in teams. While I do have employees, I create these sub teams to get the job done, because I realize I am just one person. I have been a person that has experienced the health issues, the lack of sleep, all the anxiety that comes with the entrepreneurial lifestyle. But the only thing that has helped me gather myself and bring myself back to reality is being able to rely on other people. So while I am an entrepreneur, I also value teamwork. So.
Yeah, that's good. And I heard you say something earlier. You said that, even early on, you have trust issues. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we have trust issues.
We do.
We have trust issues. Like, like sometimes, nobody can do it
like I can.
Like I need it done.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to realize, well, it don't need to be done like you need it to be done. We got to let go of some of that sometimes.
Yes.
And that could be the hardest thing to do.
It is. One thing I've learned recently, and when I say recent, I mean recent. I was in a training a couple weeks ago, and the lady said something that really stood out to me. She said, as an entrepreneur, if you can accomplish If someone can accomplish 80% of the task, allow them to help you. The other 20%, it doesn't matter. And that was like an eye opener for me. I wish somebody would have told me that 13 years ago, but here it is. Look, it's always an evolving process. You know, that 80-20 rule applies to entrepreneurship as well. And I had no idea how to apply it, but now I do. And it really works. It really works.
That's good. So
because it gives you freedom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The time freedom.
The time freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, you know, as I was reading about some of the articles and stuff that's been done on you and that type of thing is, you know, just you know, with you having so many different things going, right? So you got several different businesses going, and you know, you gotta have a team. You gotta have a team because you can't be in 6 locations at one time. So you know, I might have said that you have 6 schools. Well, 6 locations is like having 6 schools, right? Because they all have their own little identity, and you got to make sure things are done right and that type of thing. So
absolutely.
So tell us a little bit. I was just curious as we were talking, how in the childcare industry that you have these 6 schools, how did the COVID in those years impact you? How did you?
So initially, I remember the day like it was yesterday, because honestly, March 15th, 2020, I will never forget this. And it's because my business financially was at its peak. It was at its peak. I was like booming, you know what I mean? I'm like financially, I'm meeting my goals. I'm exceeding my goals. I'm doing all the things that I want to do. And then boom, this shutdown happens. So the good thing about daycare is, you know, we're licensed childcare providers. So the state of Pennsylvania did a pretty good job at making sure that whatever income, you know, you left with, you were able to keep that income during the course of, you know, your tenure for COVID. However, the downside to that was there was a limit on, you know, the amount of employees that were willing to work. In my case, for childcare, we did close for about, I think 6, I'm gonna say 4 to 5 months. And around month 6, we reopened for emergency childcare only. So that was definitely a new thing, because we're used to having 60, 70 kids in a facility and we had 10. You know what I mean? So it's very different. I did not have to do any layoffs because the state was very influential in making sure that we were still able to pay our employees during the entire time. So that was awesome.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. I do know that some childcare providers decided that at COVID they were ready to get out, but I decided to stay, and I decided to weather the storm. Yes, exactly. After COVID happened and we reopened, it was definitely slow. Our enrollment definitely decreased. We've had staffing issues ever since COVID, and that's just due to illness and people not knowing whether they're sick and whether they can come in. So it's been really, really rough. It's definitely been 10 steps backwards as far as the day-to-day operational things. Here we are now, you know, about a year later of reopening, and we're just getting back to that point, and enrollment is still, you know, struggling at times. But then that's where again the tenacity comes in, and you have to have that and say, listen, enrollment is low, but I'm gonna figure out what I need to do to get these numbers back in, to keep these kids in here, to keep these people in these seats. That is my job, and that is the role I'm taking right now.
Exactly. That is your job, because that's when you transition from an entrepreneur to the CEO.
Absolutely.
So that's the seat you're sitting in now.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's funny. I like that you said that, because the last 2 years, that's when my transition happened. I would say over COVID, I had to think differently. I had to change my mindset. Totally had to change my mindset. And once that shift was made and I was comfortable with that shift, I was able to guide my team in the right direction.
Yes. Because they're looking for the leader so they can follow.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And so with your business, I mean, with being in childcare, I mean, how it seems like, we hear the great resignation, people don't want to come back to work and all those type of things. And
Yes.
and we know that, the teaching childcare industry doesn't pay what a lot of times we feel like it should.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think it's got to be tough to find good people,
Yeah.
and make sure you vet them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So is that still very challenging for you?
Oh yeah, that's been challenging since day one. It's even more challenging now, actually. And the reason being is simply because of the pay. The one
Mhm.
thing about childcare in Pennsylvania is I think that Pennsylvania, I don't know how every state works, but I do know most states have what they call a quality assurance program. So in Pennsylvania, our quality program is Keystone Stars. And what they do is, depending upon the credentials of your staff, your center is able to receive more money. So of course,
Mm.
when you're receiving more money, you're able to pay your staff more. So
Mhm.
what I
Yeah.
did during the course of COVID was I figured out, how am I going to get my stars up? How am I going to get these stars so that I could get the right people in here and I can pay these people what they deserve?
Right.
And that has been the goal for the last 2 years, so that we can retain staff and so that we can um, continue to bring staff in and keep their morale boosted, because people know that when they feel like they're not getting paid what they're worth, your morale drops totally.
Absolutely.
Um, you'll see it in the day to day. You'll see it in the interactions with the children. You'll see it in the interactions with the parent. And ultimately, that's all a reflection of me. So,
Yes.
with that being said,
Mm.
I go above and beyond to make sure that my center is operating at a star 3 or star 4 level, so that we can keep the funding streams consistent and our staff being paid appropriately.
I love that statement of accountability, right?
Yes,
It
Yeah,
all ultimately falls on you. It's a
it does.
reflection of you. Someone watching asked the question, what things did you find help you to shift? So we're talking
Mm.
about shifting from that entrepreneur to the
Ooh.
CEO. They kind of want to know what things did you find help you make that shift?
experiences. Experience
Yeah.
is the best teacher. Listen, I am a person that if I make a mistake once, I will never make that mistake again.
Amen, sister.
I am that type of person. I am extremely analytical. So when personal things happen with me, when things happen in my business that I wasn't comfortable with, that's when I knew,
Mhm.
okay, something has to change. And
Mhm.
every time there's something that happens, I can guarantee you, and my team knows, I will change in a drop of a dime. Because if it's
Mm.
not working, I'm not going to keep going and doing the same thing over. That's ridiculous. I'm going
Yeah,
to
that's
switch it up.
insanity,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
going to switch
definition
it
of
up,
insanity.
and I'm going to switch it up immediately. And being able to change and adapt to change is really what helped that mind shift, my mind shifts change.
Yeah. I find that too, that with entrepreneurs, when they become agile
Mm-hmm.
and they're able
Mm.
to shift on a dime when outside sources is dictating to you that something within the business needs to change.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
you as the CEO have to be able to recognize it and then make the pivots quickly so that
Absolutely.
it doesn't impact your numbers, right? So it
Right.
doesn't
Absolutely.
impact your revenue.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
because if you get going too far down the
yep,
wrong road, it's a lot
yep,
harder to switch that and
it
change
is.
it over. Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Do switch it immediately. Do not wait.
Immediately.
Do not
Immediately.
wait.
Yes.
Listen, I think that's advice y'all hearing tonight, right? Like if there's a change, if you see it, make the
Mhm.
change quickly.
Yes.
Make
Make it
it, and
quickly.
that's what entrepreneurs do. That's what CEOs do, right? You
Mhm.
Absolutely.
recognize the change, you recognize the trend, and you make the adjustments to do it. And the quicker you can do that, the better off your
Mhm.
business will be ultimately.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And another thing I just want to add to that, and I'm thinking in my head as you're speaking, another thing that I've learned over the course of my duration in entrepreneurship, just like we protect our energy in our personal lives, it's
Mhm.
really important that you protect that same energy in your business. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I have had multiple groups of people work for me. I've had team A, B, C, D, probably team A through Z work for me. And the thing that always makes me switch a team is when that energy is not right. Because people become these cancers. They become cancer. They can become cancer to your organization. They can spread all of that negativity towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. But you are the person that allowed that to happen. And I have learned that that is a no-go. Like, it's some things are just, that's one of those things that just can't happen anymore, especially for me. I don't allow that. And when I start realizing that also changed my income.
Yep. That's your company culture and your core values.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And if people aren't at that level, you gotta let them go. Like,
have to. Yeah.
There's some people you just gotta cut out.
Cut it.
Whether and that's not just in your business life, right? That's also in your personal life. There's cancers, right? And you got to cut those out and not allow it. Nancy says, nip it in the bud, right? You got to nip it in the bud, right? And get rid of those things, because those cancers grow and it can change the whole culture of your company.
And everything that you work for will be out the window because you didn't want to nip it in the bud. It's not worth it. All that work is not worth it. I've been there. So I'm telling you from experience. I've been there. You know what I mean? I'm now, people be like, they'll come to me and they'll ask me for my advice. And my advice is always going to be just that, let it go. But they're not necessarily ready. And I understand that is definitely, you have to have a tough skin to be able to let things go like that. But trust and believe.
I think it's tough too to let people go.
It is.
Especially when it is. They may have been with you for a number of years, and they've been, they had 5 great years, but these last 2, or last whatever, so sometimes it's hard to let go of people in your business and move on.
Well, actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. I think you should hire slowly. So know who you're hiring first.
I like that.
And then when they're not meeting results, you got to go. But you also set that foundation in the beginning. Yes. Okay, I'm hiring you. You meet the requirement, but we have expectations.
There you go.
And if you don't meet the expectation, you're going to have to go. Because my
just had that conversation
on company billboard, right?
Yes. You're not gonna have me in the news, right?
Oh, I'm not gonna be in the news.
Listen, I started the orientation out like that. I showed them a news clip and I said, "This will not be me." You know what I mean? And I mean that. I will not be on somebody's news.
No,
not for this at least.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's good. So let's see. Here we go. So when you start hiring employees, what's the most challenging things?
Well, it's funny because childcare is one of those industries that's hit or miss. Some people consider it babysitting. Some people look at it as school or, their educational facility for children. But it's very hard to identify what the background is of a person who said they've worked in childcare before. Because what somebody else's standards are at another facility may not be the same standards at my facility. So with that being said, I agree with you, Michelle, when you said hire slowly. You know what I mean? When I first opened, I was interviewing and saying, okay, you sound good. Come on in. Not anymore. I take my time. I don't rush. I have 3 parts to my interviews. I'll start out with, the face-to-face. I'll start out with the phone conversation. Then we'll come in with the face-to-face. And then the last part is me actually seeing you interacting with with the children. And the crazy part is that oftentimes interviewees think that I'm looking at how they're interacting with the children. I am, but that's not what I'm really looking at. What I'm really looking at is how you interact with my team. So, with that being said, I can tell you just from day one how you interacted with the people that were in that classroom, whether or not you're a good fit for me and whether or not we're a good fit for you as well. So again, setting those expectations and making them very clear.
And that goes both ways. I think I'm glad you said that because, you know, it has to be a good fit for you and them. And
Mhm.
if it's not, then, you know, it's no use even going down that road.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
Hire slowly, people. Hire
Hire
slowly.
slowly.
Yep.
Hire slowly. Hire for culture fit first and then technical, because you can train technique.
Oh, I like
You
that.
can
Yes.
you cannot train culture fit.
Character. You
You
can't
cannot train character,
character,
but you
culture
can
fit.
train technique. So I will hire an underqualified person in a heartbeat before I
Mm-hmm.
hire somebody that don't fit in with the culture.
Because
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things you can't teach. You can't
You
you
can't
can't
teach it.
teach. You can't regulate a person's heart. I mean,
Mm-mm.
There you go.
we used to say all the time, it's like, you know, there's a couple type of mistakes you can make, right? You can make
Right.
a mistake of the head or a mistake of the heart. I mean, if you
Mhm.
make a mistake of the heart, I mean, we got to kind of part ways here, right?
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
if it's a mistake of the head, then, you know, we might be able to fix that.
Right,
Right.
right.
And you're right that if the person has the right spirit,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's another thing is discernment in the people that you hire. I mean,
That
you
that
gotta have a little discernment, right? I
Trust
think
your
God
gut.
has some
Trust your gut,
discernment.
people.
sure.
Trust your gut.
Your gut will not
Yeah,
lie.
It
right.
will not. No.
Yeah.
It
And the other thing that you just said is trust, because you also have to
Mm.
trust yourself in
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
process.
Yeah.
That you can make the right decision and that those type of things. So
Mhm.
Absolutely.
listen, we I told you we were gonna have this conversation was gonna go by fast. Tell
Definitely.
us a little bit about the dance school and why you started the dance school and what
Yeah.
the purposes of that.
I will. Yeah. So I initially started the dance program because again, when I was growing up, I was a dancer. I danced from the age of 4 all the way up until adulthood. I'm gonna say pretty much right before I had my daughter. I even think I danced a little bit while after I had her. But what I started to do is I'm working in most of the demographics of children that I work with are low income families, children that haven't necessarily been exposed to the arts, but I knew how much of an impact the arts had on me, and not necessarily because of the technique or the skill that I was trained in, but again because of the character that we talked about, the
Mhm.
tenacity, the stick to itness, the diligentness, the rehearsals, the practice, the
Mhm.
commitment, all of those things came from dance for me. And I felt like it would be awesome if I introduced this into my daycare. So I actually
Mhm.
started in my after school program at my daycare, and I was allowing the kids to take little hip hop classes here and there, put on their own talent shows. But what I noticed was they were so engaged. They loved coming because they had
Mhm.
that outlet. So here I
Mhm.
am, like being the entrepreneur that I am. Let's make this passion into a paycheck. You know, I'm like, I can do this. Like, let me
Yeah.
open this performing arts academy, not only to help, attain my own personal goals, but to help other people and other children know that there is another way. There is another way to express yourself than picking up a gun. There's another way to
Mhm.
express yourself than fighting with the child down the street. We can do this through the arts. And so
Mhm.
what it's evolved into is totally not what I expected, but it's something even greater. My children now are training pre-professionally. They
Wow.
are receiving training in drama. They're receiving training in vocal arts. They're getting modern, jazz, acrobatics, point, hip hop. And it's all very affordable. We make it affordable because we want retention. We want our children to stay. We want to see them make it all the way through this program. So ideally, my ideal student, I can have from the time that they're an infant all the way to the time that they're 17 years old. And
Wow.
there are a few that have been there that long, and it has been an amazing ride. Those are my children. I absolutely love them. I have an amazing program director who runs a heck of a program, who's also a childhood friend of mine that I met when I was dancing. So it's a community. We built a community of trust, a community of relying on each other to make sure these kids get to class. They're performing in other places. They are amazing. We do productions at the end of the year. We've done like The Wiz, we've done Cinderella, we've done Annie, we've done The Lion King. Last year, we actually took a spin on our end of the year production and we did something original. And we did it about COVID and the impact that COVID had on the youth. And the parents, every single parent said this was the best production you guys have done. And it's because it was so personal to the children. We got the information from the children. They told us how they felt. And we took the arts and we used it and made a production. And it's been absolutely amazing.
That is awesome.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. So listen, we're coming up. We got like 8 minutes left. You know, we're not on time frame. We can go over. But I just want to ask this question. If I'm sitting here, I'm watching this, and I'm watching a replay, or I'm even watching live tonight, and I said, man, I've always wanted to have X business. Maybe it's a daycare, maybe it's a school. I've always wanted to do it. What advice would you give someone that's sitting here and said, I've always wanted to do this? What would you tell them would be their first step?
That's a great question. I would say that their first step is to reach out to a coach, get a mentor.
That's it.
Yeah, perfect answer. Perfect answer.
Yeah.
Dr. Take me off screen. They got it, man. They got it, right? So
yeah.
That's it, right? So that's awesome. And we believe in that, right? We believe everyone needs a coach. You know, if Serena Williams needs a coach, if Tiger Woods needs a coach,
exactly.
Every Timothy needs a Paul in their life, right?
Yes.
And we need that. And so that's great. That's great. So get a coach and then go to work.
Get a coach and go to work and do your research. I see people jump into these businesses and they have no idea why. They have no idea why. They haven't researched the industry. They don't know who their competitors are. They don't know what the average going rate for the service they're providing. Take your time. Take your time. Slow and steady wins the race. That is my number.
Do your homework. Do your homework. Know what you're getting into. Know the ebb and flows of that business. You know, what is it going to be like? What is that? You know, if we're using childcare, for example, what is Christmas going to be like?
Right.
How's that going to be? What is spring break going to be like?
Exactly.
Those type of things. And you know, in the winter, it get cold in Philadelphia, right? I mean, it get cold. What's that winter going to be like? And those type of things. And so that's good. That's good. So do your research. And I think what's important about that is just going into things with your eyes open.
Absolutely.
And so, because we know this. We know that as entrepreneurs and life in general, period, it's going to throw you some surprises. It's going to throw you some curveballs.
Yes, it is.
If you're not prepared for the things that you can know, when those things happen, then it's going to just kind of just really throw you off on a tizzy in a tailspin. So that's good stuff.
Yes, Nancy said that in the arts we have to have thick skin. Yes, you do, Nancy. But we're teaching these kids from day one how to have that thick skin, and I think that's why these kids are really growing and they're evolving. They really are.
And and that's awesome. It's so interesting coming from Nancy, because Nancy is a actress. So she knows.
Oh, she knows.
She knows, right? I mean, how many times? And she's a voice actress as well as an actress. But you go for auditions and you get told no.
Absolutely.
Even when you think that you did it, or you're competing for a particular part, and someone else wins the part after you put your heart and soul into it, and you have to pick up yourself and say, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna believe in myself. I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna put my dancing shoes back on. I'm gonna put them shoes, them square toe shoes, or with the ballet, or whatever.
Point shoes.
Point shoes. There we go. Thank you. My daughter did ballet. I forgot. We got point shoes around this house, right? So you got to put your point shoes on. You got to put your big girl shoes on and keep going.
Absolutely.
So that's good. And I just really think it's awesome what you're doing.
Thank you.
The impact that you're making in the community.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
we need more Tiffany Fords, across this country,
Thank you
because
so
there's
much.
so many, so much of a need out there. So kudos to what you're doing. If someone wanted to get in touch with you or wanted to kind of watch you from a distance, mentor you, if someone wanted to connect, how do
Absolutely. There's two ways they can connect with me. They can connect with me on social media. Instagram is definitely the best way, and it's at Tiffany underscore the small biz guru, or you can go to my website, which is tiffanythesmallbizguru.org. So either way of those, you can get in contact with me. I promise I will get back to you, and I might be able to help you get started, help you on your journey. I have a clear plan for how to get you on your way. It's just up to you to make that decision.
Well, it's like the old folks say, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, right?
Absolutely.
That's that old saying. But I think we can do everything that we can, but ultimately, when it comes to it, you got to do it. I can give you the plan. I can coach you. I mean, the coach don't play the game, right? The coach don't play in the game.
Yeah.
Well, the only one was Bill Russell, and he won not. But anyway, so he was the coach and played in the game, right? But most of the coaches, they don't
Just on
play
the
the
sideline.
game.
I'm on the sideline, right? Exactly.
They're on the sidelines. And even when we coach our children in football, in the beginning, the coach is out there on the field with them. But soon now the coach is on the sideline, and you got to play it.
Yeah.
And so you got to bring it.
Absolutely.
You got to bring it. And if you're not willing to bring it and make the sacrifices to bring it, then you should stay on the sideline.
Absolutely. It's funny because I had really weeks ago asked me, could I open their business for them? Absolutely not. I'm not going to open your business for you. But what I will do is I'll show you how to open your business, because for me, again, like I told you, anything attached to me, it's a representation of who I am. I want your business to succeed. I want you to know the ins and I want you to know the outs on your own. If I do it for you, I know the ins and outs. You don't. So
right.
And then when the push comes to shove, right? When the tire hits the road, then Shout out to Will Green. Will Green is a phenomenal cybersecurity guy in Richmond, part of our RIG group. Some of you guys might be asking, what is RIG? RIG is the Roberts Innovation Group that I'm part of. And so we're about, creating and using innovation primarily in HBCUs. But again, the whole point of that is exposing our children to technology and how the technology can, because that's the wave of the future. Fintech, those types of things. And I know you use technology in your business. I mean, it's part of where we're going. If you don't embrace it, and just thinking of Will and cybersecurity, I mean, that's another big thing, because you're dealing with children.
Yes.
Right.
Your security better be tight.
Absolutely.
Right? In terms of their personal records and all these type of things. So it all impacts, it all revolves around each other. So
absolutely
pretty awesome. So Tiffany, I'm gonna give you the last word here. You've dropped so many great nuggets tonight. Thank you again for being here. I'm gonna give you the last word. Whatever you want to leave the audience with tonight, we're gonna take that and then we're gonna sign off. And I want to remind people of this. I want to remind you that the Real Money Coach on Praise 100.9 Saturday mornings at 7:30 a.m. Make sure you dial in. You can go to praisecharlotte.com if you're not in the Charlotte area and listen to the radio show. And then we'll be back here next week. And next week's show is going to be baby steps to home ownership. And so we're talking about that. She has a nonprofit. In particular, her passion is to help women, female homeowners hang on to their homes, get into home ownership, not get caught up in foreclosure and all those type of things. So that's going to be next week. But Tiffany, any last words for our audience tonight?
Yeah, I just want to encourage anybody that's looking to go into small business or entrepreneurship. Pursue your passion, work in things that you are passionate about, not in things that you are not passionate about. And then as long as you operate with integrity and you operate with character and tenacity, you are going to be amazing. So you can do it. Just keep those things in mind.
Well said.
No
Y'all
problem.
listen. Michelle, you got anything? I know I'm gonna limit. Michelle, come on. What you got to say? Did you enjoy that? That's what I'm talking about. Drop that.
Right.
You
Right.
guys are funny.
I enjoyed Tiffany.
What'd you say,
Thank
Tiffany?
you. That you guys are funny.
Dante doing that thing, man.
I love it. I love it. Drop the mic.
This ain't a normal podcast. This is we're having a great time. We have fun. We have fun.
I did.
have
This was
fun.
fun. This was fun.
Tiffany dropped some gems tonight. So
Yes,
go back, listen to the replay, or pass this on to somebody who can use it.
please. Yes.
Yes.
Listen, that's the thing, y'all. These are free. This is on our YouTube page. If you're not part of YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, like our fan Facebook page, and join the Facebook group as well.
Right.
And you will have access to all this information. I'm not going to tell y'all this is going to be free forever. This thing may move
Right.
to membership. This might be something. I don't know. But, if we get sponsorship, we'll continue to make this free. But
Right.
here's the thing. It's available. We want to help the greater community, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why we do what we do. That's why the Real Money Coach comes to you every week consistently.
Yeah.
We don't miss. We miss, Michelle?
No,
miss.
we don't miss.
And
That's
we have
right.
good people like
Consistency is
Tiffany
key.
Coco.
Yeah.
That's it. Consistency. So listen, thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate you. Remember, you can email me at info@therealmoneycoach if you have any questions or you need any information that you heard tonight. You need more, just let me know. We'll get it to you. So with that, y'all have a great evening. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Good night.